Hi, everybody. My name is David, or David Hahn, one of the co-founders, CEO of remberg. We are a Munich-based company specializing in the field of maintenance software, modern maintenance software, CMMS slash EAM. I would say emerging player, especially with the wave of AI. There's a new way of thinking about maintenance, a often underappreciated segment of the industrial world. So in the last decades, we have seen that the appreciation of maintenance is often a little bit disregarded still, but that is changing for several reasons. And we believe those are the people who keep our world running, and they deserve modern tools, especially nowadays when a couple of things are happening. I'll share a bit. And we'll talk about how basically a reality check on what is already, it's not a future state of AI being part of the maintenance workflows, but we'll just show you a couple of very simple AI applications in the industrial area. So we just walk you through. You can try it out yourself a little bit. We make it interactive. And then we'll talk about how we are moving from AI assistance to AI action. So basically the first agentic workflows also on the maintenance side, what we see, what already works, what where we see difficulties in the deployment, and then we'll have an open discussion. So on the background, we have roughly 300 customers from multiple industries, world leaders from many segments, food and beverage, CPG, liquid moly, or also in the logistics area, aerospace, energy. So basically, everyone who has a lot of physical assets at the core of their business model and needs to keep them up and running is basically has a maintenance team or reliability team. And they have a couple of challenges where we'll talk about. We have we are roughly 70 people, more than 1 million assets being managed, and we are also an SAP partner because our clients often work with SAP as a system of record for assets, and also sometimes for workflows. But then they often tend to work with us for user friendliness as well as AI applications. So that's basically the background. And why is or what we often see in organizations is like maintenance doesn't produce anything, but maintenance produces asset availability. And basically already what I just described. So there's an underestimation in terms of importance. And there are three things why this is changing. First of all, um, we see across industries a rise in unplanned downtime. Not necessarily the number of unplanned downtimes is rising, but the length for equipment aging, complexity, um, uh, s- in terms of costs per unplanned downtime, it's also rising. So we see that here. And of course, you hear it all the time, but it's two things that are aging in the current macroeconomic environment. People are not necessarily happy to invest into new machinery so much. So the machinery is getting older and the people are getting older. So some of them are going to retirement, and it's becoming, I would say, more of a topic that maintenance is um, definitely something to invest in. So what we typically see is a firefighting mode, maintenance teams being in firefighting mode, so a reactive instead of preventive, hard to find asset data basically scattered around systems. They have a ERP, they have an MES, they have a SharePoint, a file driver system, etc., or some sort of heritage CMMS in place. There's literally no organization where we see that maintenance teams typically get a notification from the production team, from the operators. Every maintenance manager that we know says the notifications that we get from the operators, we cannot really work with them. So someone's just calling and says machine is broken. Oftentimes not even in the same language as the maintenance teams work. So there's quite a number of challenges, and the complexity in terms of audit documentation and being compliant is also becoming more and more. So maintenance is just one area where AI is not making a stop. So you have the classical things that you have in a typical maintenance software. Obviously, you need to manage your assets. You need to have preventive and reactive maintenance stuff. I'm not going to bore you with this. So we're going to show you a couple of things, how quickly we have seen really nice results in terms of adoption, speed, and reducing mean time to repair. So we just take an example. Here, that's a demo system of ours. So what we typically do is as I said, we are SAP partners, so we typically mirror the asset hierarchy from SAP, and then every single equipment or machine gets its own patient file, so to say. Very simple. So you import it via our API, a standard connector, or alike, and then you get a stack of QR codes. You run around your shop floor and you put the QR codes on there, and you can try this out now. So let's imagine we are walking through a shop floor, and we see that this machine is a real machine in the shop floor of a tier 1 automotive welding machine. There's actually a problem with it, and I urge you, if you speak another language, any language, you try out on your screen to create a new work request, basically. So you click on create work request, and then you say, for instance, asset status is stopped, failure type. You can select it on your phone, just try it out. You can also create a picture of something that you see. So let's say you have an electrical issue, and then you import some file here. Oil is, or Öl läuft aus. Let's do it in German. And then we create one. And then our clients, so just literally 2 steps, right? So asset import, QR code on there, and then the most simple work request kind of system that you can imagine. So here, I don't even know what this language is. Can someone tell me which language this is, please? Who find this? I have
Because
absolutely
me, I was over challenging. It's Tunisian, and so it's in Arabic but written in French.
okay. And can you check whether the system understood what you said?
Um, looks good. Operator ask, that means what needs to be done. Yeah, that's correct.
So basically, the system already auto-translated the information from the asset status that was selected and the failure type. And we also know who it's coming from. And now it's translating everything into the language of the maintenance team. And we have this often at large clients of ours, where across country borders, people on the shop floor, the operators are not speaking German. They speak Turkish, Polish, Slovakian, and so on. And then they typically have a hesitancy in reporting in a typed way in German because they don't feel like home. It's not their language. So what we did is we took out the barrier of a language and made it extremely simple to file new work requests quickly. So assets in, QR codes on, and then they can just speak into their phone if they want. And we had Slovakian dialects tested out, or Tunisian with a French component to it, and then it's auto translated to the actual system, and there's automatically selected the repair and a medium priority, and then you can basically see in the system whether let's take this one. This was reported in German. Whether there's already a similar work request in place. So AI is analyzing all existing work requests and basically comparing this. This is so simple that we didn't even think that it would provide value, but people love it. And this is such a simple thing. And we have deployed it at one of our clients at Weiland, for instance. Maybe you know them. A couple billion revenue. And within 3 months, we reduced the mean time to repair by over 50% across multiple plans and had 100% user activation. So it cannot be simpler than this. We're not like, yeah, sometimes simplicity is all you need, right? So when you look at another example. So when you now accept this work request from the colleague here, then the work order is already being generated. So everything is being taken over into the description of the work order. And now, typically, when we assign technicians, we need to tell them some sort of a procedure or checklist what needs to happen. So you can either uh, um, start manually by adding field, or you just describe what you want. Please make sure that the oil status is checked, and also rule out failure failure number 7. So what you can basically speak into the procedure generation now with a Gen AI component, that the system is now generating the procedure either on the manuals and history of the respective machine, or just on your prompt basis, basically. And now it adds, you can say, add a signature. And it basically, then you keep on going and you take out the manual effort of creating procedures and things that people need to do. So you can also add files and have a Word component in there, and then you just create it and assign it to a technician. And when they start working, they click on start, then the clock is ticking, and then they just go through what they need to do. And in the end, they add a signature, mark as done, and then you can basically already see the work order completed. No need to change the times anymore. Everything was basically done per default. So it's the second step, procedure generation, taking out manual effort from technicians. A third one is that we're currently working on a agent that does the pre-scheduling of work orders. It's not live yet, but it's crazy how it works. Basically, you have a AI setup where you are explaining like a skill, so to say, how is scheduling typically working, and then it learns how scheduling typically works in your organization, and it's then applying that on a rule basis on a defined schedule. For instance, on a daily basis, you take all the planned events and assign them based on the availability of the technicians, but certain asset types can only be scheduled in the afternoon, etc. So we are moving from there's this famous article from Andreessen Horowitz, where you start with a system of record, which is typically SAP. Then you go to a system of workflow, where you have work is being done in a modern CMMS by humans. Now we had assistance for the workflows, basically, what we just saw. But now you go into a system of action where procedures are being generated for you, work orders are being scheduled for you, etc. And at some point, you even go into a system of coordination where the system is reaching out to people across organizations and asking suppliers for your fire extinguisher maintenance, for instance, hey, can you come by? We have a slot here for you, etc. So it's like a step-by-step increase in the deepness of industrial AI applications in our system. And we are between assistance and action at the moment, and currently trying out with a couple of beta customers the agentic level maintenance scheduling, which is quite powerful. And the last one that I wanted to share is, which is also currently in testing, is a agentic mobile work order reporting functionality. Sounds very fancy, but especially now when you look at the process that we just did, so the technician is being handled or planned in that the welding machine error troubleshooting needs to be taking place. They still need to click and click and click. In the next phase, they are just going to click on a button where it says start recording, what did you do? And it basically asks you, what have you done? Which parts did you take? And it's then filling out the rest of the work order for you, fully voice-based. So what we are doing basically is, in the end, we will not be able, and I don't think it's necessary, we'll see humans in maintenance for a very long time still. But what we have not enough from is maintenance technicians that can take care of fixing the world. So what we need to do is we need to take we need to take away the stuff that doesn't add value in fixing the world. So we don't know any technician on this planet who loves searching for information and who loves documenting how they fixed the machine when they actually fixed it, because these are two things that we can completely eliminate with industrial AI applications, where we see a ton of impact when you think about it. And of course, there's all the other stuff that I could show you to you now. But in the end, it's go simple to go fast. One of our core values at Remberg. So we don't need to go end of maturity, ultra connected, everything IoT and whatever. Look at the simplicity, how far we got only with this. And it's just the beginning. So I'm quite excited on the agentic capabilities in the field of industrial in general, but I'm also extremely excited about relieving maintenance teams of work that is not fixing the world.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, David. Really impressive. And maybe one question from my side, looking also at the time. I think for many people it was overwhelming how many functions we have there, and it looks like it's very hard to start with this solution. Can you give a short feedback on how actually easy it is also to start with your product? Yeah, you already showed me this once, where basically in one step can enable your whole platform.
Yeah, so first of all, you can go on our website and just click on test for free. You can just do it. And when you do that, you will see when you enter your work email, AI is going to take the domain of you and set up the system already in a structure where it works for your domain. So when you are a brewery, the initial data set is going to be set up already for a brewery, so you feel like home. That's quite powerful. You can try it out. You can try the AI applications. Then, if you want to do it, get going as quickly as possible, we have a import capability. So basically, do an export of your SAP master data. You import it, you print the QR codes, you run around, and you are up and running. That's it. So you need to. I'm promise you, if you have a structured master data set of your equipment or just a list, you can set this up in one afternoon. It's crazy. And then you go step by step.
Amazing. We have one more question from Kai Michael.
Yes, just a quick one. Thanks for the impressive presentation. I was particularly impressed by your creation of the instructions for what the work orders need to include. I'm wondering, what is your experience about the quality of the instructions being generated? And the
Yeah.
reason I ask is I know there's other systems in the market, not CMMS systems, but like specific systems for troubleshooting, which also make use of an explicit capturing of, let's say, the tacit knowledge of the experienced workers. You don't
Yeah.
seem to use that, and that's why my question is, how well does it work without that knowledge?
Um, Actually, it does. So what you see here, you see the object of a work order, and that work order is associated with the asset. And the asset contains all the history of every work order ever solved, everything that is related to files, documents, so the manuals and everything is placed here. And what you can then do is you can also interact with the machine. So, what are regular maintenance tasks, for instance? And that context, knowledge base of the asset and the respective history of that asset with all the implicit knowledge is being taken into account in the generation of a procedure or a checklist. So you can use this in so we asked in English, but the documentation is in German. So it's every single step that you just saw is always married with the history and the patient file of what you have given the system as a background. And you could even go beyond and say, I have this welding machine not only once, but several times in my organization. So I can say, I want to look in all asset types of the welding machine. I think it's yes. So I want to check across plants in all same type welding machines where we if we ever had this problem before. So all the implicit knowledge of all feedback work orders, everything is going into that. If you connect it with more systems, then you can take even more data. And in the end, that is the key. If you provide AI the context knowledge, you will get really great results. So one last point, also simplicity. That is in the end also something that people just like, that they come from the new shift in the morning and they just want to know what happened in the last shift, right? This is so simple sometimes. You just get a AI-generated shift report in the end.
Cool, thank you very much.